Imagine standing on the edge of an endless ocean. No GPS, no compass, no map, nothing but water stretching to the horizon. Would you step into a wooden canoe and sail for hundreds of kilometers? Probably not. Yet thousands of years ago, people did exactly that. They crossed oceans, they crossed deserts, they crossed mountains, and somehow they found places they had never seen before. So, how did humans find their way before maps existed? For most of us, getting lost is only one dead phone battery away. We've become so dependent on navigation that even a short drive can feel impossible without a blue dot telling us where to go. But for almost all of human history, there was no blue dot, no road signs, no satellite above the Earth, and somehow, our ancestors explored nearly every corner of the planet, not by luck, but by learning to read the world itself. Long before maps existed, nature was the map. The sun told you east and west. The stars revealed direction after sunset. Mountains became landmarks. Rivers became highways. The wind carried clues. Even the shape of the land could tell experienced travelers exactly where they were. To someone who understood nature, the earth was full of signs. But crossing land is one thing, crossing an ocean is something else entirely. Imagine looking in every direction and seeing nothing. No trees, no mountains, no shoreline, just endless blue. How could anyone possibly know where they were? For centuries. This puzzled explorers. Then researchers began studying one of history's greatest navigators, the Polynesians. Lawful voyage long before European explorers entered the Pacific. Polynesian sailors had already travelled across millions of square kilometres of open ocean, finding islands so small you could sail right past them without ever knowing they existed. They had no magnetic compass, no modern charts, no GPS, yet they rarely travelled blindly. Instead, they memorised the ocean, not as empty water, but as a living landscape. They watched the stars. Each star rose and set in a predictable place. A specific star could guide a canoe in one direction through the night. When one disappeared, another took its place. Master navigators memorized the rising and setting points of more than 100 stars. Together, those points formed a circle around the horizon, a compass made entirely of light. But clouds could hide the stars, so they learned something even more incredible. They read the waves. Ocean swells don't move randomly. They travel across enormous distances in consistent patterns. An experienced navigator could feel subtle changes beneath the canoe and know they were approaching land, even when they couldn't see it. In the Marshall Islands, navigators went even further. They built charts from sticks and shells. Curved sticks showed how ocean swells bent around islands. Small shells marked the islands themselves. But here's the surprising part. They didn't take these charts to sea. They studied them on land, until the patterns lived inside their heads. The map was memorized, then left behind. Birds became clues. Certain birds fly only a limited distance from land. Spot the right bird, and an island might be closer than you think. Floating plants, driftwood, even the color of the water could reveal hidden reefs nearby. Nothing was ignored. Everything meant something. This wasn't magic, it was knowledge. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next, not written in books, but stored in memory for years, and young navigators trained to recognize stars and winds, currents, birds, clouds, and wave patterns. Their classroom was the ocean itself, and in 1976, the world got proof. A traditional voyaging canoe called Hokulea sailed from Hawaii to Tahiti. More than 4,000 kilometers of open ocean, no compass, no instruments, guided by a navigator using only the stars, the waves, and the birds. It arrived exactly where it intended. The ancient method still worked. Half a world away. The Vikings faced a very different ocean. The North Atlantic, cold, grey, and often buried under thick clouds, so they sailed by latitude, keeping the sun at the same height in the sky, day after day, until land appeared. Some researchers believe they carried a special crystal, a sunstone, that could reveal the sun's position, even through heavy clouds, and according to legend, one Viking explorer released ravens from his ship. If the bird circled back, there was no land nearby. If it flew away and never returned, he followed it. And far from any ocean, the desert posed the same challenge: endless sand in every direction, landmarks that shifted with the wind. Yet for centuries, caravans crossed the Sahara and the Arabian Desert, carrying gold, salt, and silk. Their guides rid the dunes. Shaped by winds that almost always blew from the same direction, they memorized wells and rock formations. They traveled at night, following the same stars sailors used at sea. Arab navigators became so skilled, they wrote entire books on steering by the sky, centuries before GPS was even imaginable. And it wasn't just sailors and caravans. Forest hunters noticed broken branches, animal tracks, and the position of the sun. The Inuit read the shape of snowdrifts, carved by winds that always blew the same way. Mountain communities learned every valley and every peak. The world wasn't confusing. It was familiar, because they paid attention in ways most of us no longer do. Ironically, maps didn't replace human navigation. They slowly replaced human observation. Today, most of us couldn't explain why moss grows on one side of a tree. We rarely notice where the sun rises. We don't recognize the stars above our own homes. We've outsourced one of humanity's oldest skills, not because we had to, but because technology made it unnecessary. And this change is visible inside our brains. To earn their license, London taxi drivers must memorize 25,000 streets. When scientists scanned their brains, they found something remarkable. The region responsible for spatial memory, the hippocampus, was physically larger than average. Navigation isn't just a skill, it shapes the brain itself, and some studies suggest the opposite is also true. The more we depend on GPS, the less this part of the brain gets used. Use it, or lose it. The greatest map humans ever had wasn't drawn on paper, it was carried inside the mind. Our ancestors didn't conquer the world because they had better tools. They conquered it because they learned to understand the planet itself. And maybe the real mystery isn't how they found their way without maps, it's how quickly we forgot how.